All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Robert Smirking Gun Reviews. It's Christmas Day, and since part of my channel's description is talking about things that I feel like talking about whenever they pop into my head, today we're going to be talking about something that I've been meaning to talk about for a while. It's one of those things where, see, I'm an alcoholic. And I was watching YouTube about a week or so ago, and a person I really respect on YouTube, Kathleen Ooms. She's got a great channel. I've been watching her for a long time, but one thing I didn't know was that she had a drinking problem. And she made a video, and she talked about her problems and her struggles, and it really affected me because it's something that I quit drinking about a year and a half ago. I quit smoking about 4 months ago. And a lot of things that I review and a lot of ways I take things can kind of come out in some of my reviews. I subtly mention it occasionally, references to my past. And her video really gave me the inspiration to talk about this out loud. I've never talked about this really to anybody, but I mean, I've talked about, to people at work and stuff that, hey, I'm not drinking, I don't want to be invited, just to get away from not being invited so people don't think, to invite me to places where I can drink and things like that. But I don't talk about the long 20 years problem I have. I guess you never get rid of it all the way with alcohol. And I actually made a video already, and I started uploading it, and I realized I was saying way too much stuff that I just still am not ready to get out there. I pretty much was tracking my entire history. And even then, I was realizing, man, you left out this, and you left out that, and you left out this and that. That's how bad it was. I have 20 years of bad memories, stupid things I did. And, you always go like, well, how did it start and everything? And my dad, my real father, I haven't seen him since 1987, and he was an alcoholic who beat my mom. And I always said I wasn't going to be like him, and isn't that like famous last words, right? You don't make them. I also was raised in a very strict religious upbringing. I was raised to be a Jehovah's Witness for the first 18, 19 years of my life. And so alcohol wasn't a problem then. But I was between the strict religious background and my DNA. I never saw it coming. And that's not an excuse. My problems with alcohol started, the very first time I had alcohol, I got alcohol poisoning for 2 weeks. To fit in, I was getting thrown a going away party. I was moving from Illinois to Wisconsin, and they enjoyed knowing that I had never really drank, and they were going to send me off proper, and they really did. They almost killed me. The experience almost killed me. I was sick for 2 weeks. And then I really didn't drink again, but that should have been a sign that that I shouldn't have kept going. But as soon as I turned 21 and up until I was 42, I pretty much had been on some level of drunk pretty much the entire time. If I wasn't at work, I was drinking or getting drunk or whatever, And it's just now, after about a year and a half, about a year and 4 or 5 months, I'm finally starting to remember things way more clearly than I have in a really long time. And most of it's not good. Just remembering all the dumb things that I did and put myself through and put my family through and friends through and relationships that I just had no business being in. If I hadn't started drinking, I believe that the main reason I started drinking was depression and loneliness. I didn't know anyone in Wisconsin except for my mother, who she never should have had kids. But that's something else. But when I turned 21, I just dove headfirst into the bottle. Well, mostly beer. And I ruined like my first real girlfriends. I mean, I was just always hammered. I blame everything on them and on other people. I never got violent or anything like that. I was just always drunk. I mean, how do you deal with somebody like that? I mean, if the other people that you're with aren't, living that lifestyle, they're trying to just live a normal life and you're always drunk, what kind of, person sticks around for that? And they shouldn't. And I proceeded to lose my first apartment and lose my girlfriend, and I wrecked my car. And the only reason I didn't get a DUI is because nobody saw it, and I basically abandoned the car and never drove again. And that was back in 96, 97. And I didn't get my license back or a car again until 2012, which I then proceeded to lose 2 months later after driving again. And I crashed my car in 2012. I blew a 3.15. The car crash should have killed me. The DUI, I got ruined my life again. When I ran through 3 trees. I ran through 3 trees. I moved my head at the last second and a tree branch went right where my head should have been. I'm just now driving again. I just got my license back. I have insurance. I'm driving again after another 6 years of not having a license. I'm determined not to screw it up this time. But all the things, I mean, I've so many apartments lost, so many relationships gone. My relationship with my just younger sibling has been irreparably harmed almost. She and I used to be really close, and she's been bailing me out of alcohol problems since I was in my mid-20s. When I was living in Wisconsin, it got so bad with losing places to live, couch hopping, living the lifestyle. I was a waiter for a really long time, and you work together, you party together, and I was lonely and wanted to be accepted, and I just kept drinking and making bad decisions with money all the time because of that. And it got to be where I had nobody. I would lose I just kept losing everything, and I'd get it back a little bit and I'd just lose it again, and just back and forth to the point where in Wisconsin, I was going to kill myself if my sister hadn't come and taken me out of there. But the problem is that I carried that problem with me. Now I was with a relative, but I couldn't, once I had money again, once I was, working at another restaurant job, because that's just what I did. That's what I knew. It was the easiest job to get for me. Again, just hanging out with people, trying to find friends, never having connections. I just kept moving around from place to place, making temporary friends, and drinking the whole way. And nobody tells you to stop. Nobody encourages you to slow down. No, because everybody's doing it. But the thing is that I kept hanging out with younger, I was getting older and I was still working that kind of job. And so you're always around people that are 21. And as you keep getting older, they're 21 and you're 30 and you're still drinking and you're still pounding away it's like you're still 21. And it got to be, when I was living on my own, I didn't have to hide how much I drank, because I was always by myself drinking, and I could just pound and pound and pound and pound and pound. And after a while, you don't even get hangovers. All you think about though is staying drunk, getting drunk. I never used to drink at work. But I couldn't wait to get done, because then as soon as I was out of there, the first stop was the liquor store. Even if I had booze at home, I was thinking, how much am I going to drink tonight? Should I already buy more booze? And So I lost everything again. I ended up moving. My sister she had to kick me out because of hiding drinking, and they found out about how bad it was. It was really bad. I'm not going to go into it here, but it was really bad. The hiding alcohol caused me to do some really stupid things out of shame and guilt. And what did I get for it? Those friends didn't stick around. Those relationships were non-existent. I sold so much of my stuff just to, like a drug, like people that are on cocaine and heroin. I was selling my stuff, books and comics and movies and stuff. I'd go to pawn shops all the time, like all this stuff I'd collected my whole life. And I'm such a huge movie lover and a game lover. But I didn't care because I wanted that booze so much that I just kept getting rid of it. I've spent so much and lost so much, and I have nothing to show for it. So eventually I ended up back here in Illinois, and after kicking me out, I lost places out there, and I'm finally back where I grew up, and this was 2004. But immediately, as soon as I got a job working in a restaurant again, this isn't a knock to the restaurant industry, but as soon as I figured out how to get booze back into the house, I was drinking and hiding it again, got caught again. This time I was living with somebody who was part of the religion that I was trying to run away from. And so, but they forgave me, but instead of doing the mature thing, I moved out. I found some people that would take me in at my job, and I moved into their apartment, and everybody drank and partied there. Nobody, the cycle kept going. And since the rent was so low, I had enough money for rent and booze, and everything was a party until the lease ran out. And we all went our separate ways, and I had to find a place to live. And once I was on my own by myself and trying to do all that and still just drink and drink and drink, go to work, drink, go to work, drink, go to work, drink, I ended up not being able to pay my rent, and then I lost my job, and I lost everything. And I moved in with a guy who was an even bigger alcoholic than I was, and you put two of those people together, and it was ugly. There would be just throwdown fights between the two of us where we'd fight and forgive each other, tell each other fuck off, and eventually even he had enough of me, even though, in my opinion, calling one alcoholic worse than another one is pretty. I'm not trying to be shitty about it, but I mean, he had every right to kick me out, but he was worse than I was. And if he thought I was bad, he wanted to be an alcoholic by himself again, I think. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. My sister came and helped me, and I ended up back. I tried to help her. Well, I ended up in the hospital with this guy. I told him I was going to kill myself because I had nowhere to go if he was kicking me out. And so I ended up in a hospital where they dried me out. I had insurance at the time. I took a break from my work, just told them I was sick. My insurance ran out, though, in less than a week. And so my sister had to come and help me again and got me back here, back in the house with the religious people. I had no other choice. This is what it's like when you have no options. But it's like, so for a minute there, I was off booze. I wasn't smoking. I got a job again, but it was just a matter of time where once I had money, I was sneaking in the booze. Except this time I moved from beer to hard liquor. And because it was just easier to get in the house. One bottle or a case. And so I was like, well, that's a no-brainer. Got to get the bottle. And then it started out small. Then it turned into big. I was drinking a huge thing of vodka or whiskey, like every other day. And I would try to quit. And I would go through like days of hell trying to cold turkey myself. And I realized that I couldn't do it because I felt like I was dying. And so I'd go back to it, drinking again, and it reached to a point where I was drinking during work and during the day. If I was off, I was always drunk. If I was working, I'd have a bottle mixed with booze with me no matter where I went, and I would just ruin. It ruined my last job that I was at, and I snapped. I had like the guy from Half Baked snap where I was just like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, except there was no you're cool. And I walked out, and I blamed it all on them. That, oh, the job sucks, and I put in all this time, and it wasn't, because I was hammered off my ass 24/7 just to keep the shakes down. And but thankfully I was able to get this new job that I've been at since 2016, and even then I almost ruined it. I dove so far into the bottle, so far bad into the bottle, that I actually really felt like I was going to die. Like I felt it inside. My insides felt like I was going to die. And I could feel that I was going to lose my job if I didn't get this under control. And I heard about somebody famous died from trying to quit alcohol, cold turkey, but I did it anyway. And that was July of 2017 that I last drank. And I did almost die. And I mean, before that, I mean, it got so bad that, I mean, I could sometimes barely walk. Like I was in so much pain that I couldn't even walk. I once had tried to crawl to the bathroom because there was nobody in the house, and I was screaming in pain because I was trying to quit. It was just insane. And I'm not trying to be a bummer, because I do feel better now, as far as like physically. The main things, the catalysts, the triggers, they're all still there. The depression, the loneliness, the lack of connection, it's all still there. Even though like I make these videos to try to feel connected to, not just to, because I want to get my opinion out there and get views. I have all this information in my brain, and I'm trying to share it with people. But at the same time, it's also still just another way to reach out, to try to focus my attention on the other things other than booze. This video really is to, not just for myself to say this stuff out loud and get it out there, but just for anybody else, because it's a problem with a lot of people I know, and we don't talk about it because we're ashamed and guilty. We feel guilty, and we're letting people down. And I've felt this way for so long, man. It is ridiculous. When I look back at how much time I lost in all the stupid things, and I mean, I could tell you stories you wouldn't fucking believe, and maybe I will someday tell more stories about this, just to like let you know, like, if you've done some of the things that I've done, you know, it's like, you know, you see people talk about heroin stories and drug stories. I've got those stories, but with like booze. And the things that I've done are just, I've ruined so many relationships, and I used to blame everybody else. And I have a sister, the sister that I've talked about, the just younger sister. I've pretty much permanently damaged that relationship because of it. I have not seen her in almost 10 years, and we have not really communicated. We communicate through my other sister, and even though things are starting to like die down, it isn't until now that I was realizing how much I was blaming her for our rift. And even though there is blame on both sides, it's mostly mine. And I lost 10 years of my life without my sister, my little sister that I used to be so close to, and her kids that I love. I have missed out on almost their entire childhood, where they're all teenagers now. And it's just, you can't get that time back. And so it's like, if you having a problem and you need to talk, you know, making a video like this isn't easy, but it helps. Talking to somebody. I mean, I have to figure out how to do that. Right now, I do have health insurance, and I'm trying to figure out who to go to talk to that takes my insurance. I'm on anti-anxiety medication right now, but it's still not enough. The triggers are all still there, and I do worry that I'll relapse. I do worry all the time, and I joke like, oh man, you know what? I think I can handle like a White Russian today. Like, you know, I said that yesterday, right before I was leaving work, because work has been really, really stressful. I was like, man, you know, I really just wish I could have a White Russian right now. But I know what would happen is I'd have that one White Russian, and then I'd want another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. And I realize I can't drink. I can't do it in moderation, because the thought of it just is too enticing to just dive right back in. And so it's just one day at a time. And if you have anybody you can talk to about your problems like this, do it. Because it's the hard part. It's just opening your mouth and saying something. Because we're so afraid and we're ashamed and feel guilty. We don't know how people are going to treat us. And look, if you know there's people you absolutely can't talk to about this stuff, find somebody else. Because even if it's to somebody that can't like just be there that you need to, it may help you make it easier to talk to somebody who can help you. So I don't mean this to be like a downer holiday video, but I just feel like the year's closing up and I'm starting to get my life back on track. And even, you know, like even with the YouTube channel that's going, you know, this channel, like I was kind of bummed out that I hadn't hit 500 subscribers by the end of the year. That was my goal. But now I realize it's like, it doesn't matter if I hit 500 subscribers now or a year from now. Doing this, it's not the point of doing this. I don't do this to make money. I do this to help myself and to have fun and to communicate with other people and to be real and not some shill and not out there to make, you know, like I could make a Patreon, but I won't do it. I just won't, because I have a job that pays the bills, and that's what I got to focus on is that. And this is just is extra. And anyway, I don't want to get off topic, but if you are having a problem though, please reach out to somebody. And again, I want to thank Kathleen Ums for giving me the inspiration to do this, because it was something that I needed to get a kick in the pants, and that video did it. It gave me the kick in the pants I needed to talk about it. Because this is stuff I've never said out loud. And like I said, I did make a first video, and I'm glad I deleted it, because there's some stuff on there that I said that I did that I just am not ready to put out there. Not yet. And so this is like my first step. This second take is my first step. So, and maybe talking about it later on. So making it a little easier. So anyway, this is Rob at Smirking Interviews saying thanks for choosing to watch this video if you've made it this far. This wasn't supposed to be for entertainment. This is just to let everybody know a little bit more about me, because I don't know, I needed to do it. So have a great rest of your holiday, and we will see you later.